MovieWeb.com.
In the world's most dangerous prison,
those animals kill each other with regularity.
a new game is born.
What if we could harness their hatred?
In a death race.
Every car will hold as many guns and as much ammunition as it can.
They're making money off our blood.
If a prisoner wins 5 races, he wins his freedom.
Time to lose.
The director's vision for the film, how did he sort of try to set the mood and tone to make Death Race 2 different than the other Death Races?
Well, I think he's a great director. I'm working with him in the new year, the movie I'm producing, but he's a very, very capable director, but also driven by the story. And this is a prequel as much as Death Race 2. It is, you know, quite recently before the last one we saw with the Statham movie, so it's a prequel. And he wanted just the story to be a way of informing the audience how this came about. The Death Race wasn't there. The Death Race was an evolution because of ratings on TV.
Deathmatch.
Yeah. So it was evolutionary, and he wanted to cover that with this film, and as did I. And it's driven primarily because of that, by story and characters, I think probably more than the last movie, right?
Yeah, totally. What you said. What he said.
Our relationship in the movie was pretty hot.
Well, tell me a little bit about your relationship in the film.
Oh, look, let me just touch it.
Ask that question again.
Well, we had chemistry when we met straight away. I think we have a similar outlook on life, very spiritual people, and I'm very outdoorsy. And what we say in Afrikaans, voete op die aarde, feet on the ground, just a good, solid, wholesome girl. And Luke wanted me to feel very comfortable with those love scenes that we did, and he said, I have precedent over everyone. So you tell me when you're happy and you're comfortable, I'm happy. And I think after that it just made it a lot easier to do everything else.
And yeah, you know, the love scenes are watchable if they're watchable, and if it's intimate and it's comfortable and it's free, then, you know, it sounds, maybe guys are thinking, oh, come on, man, just do this. I'm like, you know, reality, it's watchable. With this kind of rapport that we had and this relationship, as soon as we met, it was off the chain.
That love scene is extended in the unrated version.
Oh, and they're driving. What was that like for you guys as actors? Was it fun to get to? Did you get to do a lot of your own, or was there a lot of stunt drivers? Or
yeah, I had. I think Universal wanted. They were like, okay, Luke's going to drive the Shelby, which is a very expensive car, and there's only one of these things, the Shelby Super Snake GT500, and it's So I was driving in reverse. I flip it around. I do a J-turn and zoom off, and I do a 360, and I pull it back up to the stunt guys, and they're like, "Okay,
he can drive.
we can let him drive this thing."
Like, what are we doing here? This guy's great.
So yeah, it was fun. They let me drive. I drove every single vehicle that you see me in the movie. I'm driving all of them. So, and I had a great stunt driver. I feel ashamed that can't remember his name, but he was a great stunt driver from Cape Town. But I did a lot of the driving and all of the fighting. So I was a big kid in a candy store, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, and your character is a little bit, precursor. He's Frankenstein, becomes Frankenstein. So it was curious, like, did you watch the original? Did you take anything from David Carradine's character, or did you want to try to do your own thing?
Out of respect, of course. I don't think, to be truthful with you, there's a lot you can take, because I think that was kind of taking, as is this, you know, looking at the media, and if it got to a point of such an insatiable appetite, you think this is absurd. And I think that's kind of poking fun at it deliberately, and it's quite camp. This movie, I looked at it, of course, because of Mr. Carradine, the late Mr. Carradine, unfortunately, but I did want to make him as human as possible, so that the evolution to when he becomes Frankenstein was a real change and a real arc. This man wasn't Frankenstein before this facility, you know what I mean?
And then shooting in South Africa, I know that's where you're from, so was it fun to get to kind of shoot at home? And
it was amazing. They weren't auditioning any of the leading roles in South Africa. I got hold of the script and went in and auditioned, and the director was like, this girl's ballsy, plus he's Dutch and I'm Afrikaans, so I just campaigned seriously for this role. And Roel told me the guys were really happy that they found me. So shooting at home, I get to sleep in my own bed, I get to see my friends. My friends came to set to visit me. Did you meet any? You met?
All of them, most of them.
Anyway.
We were lucky to have her, because she did an amazing, amazing job in the film.
Aww.
From Universal Pictures and the filmmakers who brought you Resident Evil and Death Race comes an all-new movie of how it all began.
I want him dead. You kill him, I kill you.
Death Race 2, unrated. Coming soon on Blu-ray and DVD.